You're in too deep. You're
Yeah,
trying to keep all the blood in your hand instead of going over.
blood in my hand,
Is that how it
Blo-
goes?
blood in my head.
Blood in my head. Oh, cool.
Yeah, we, if any members of Sum 41 are listening, which we assume they are not, we apologize for Mike's
I
butchering.
don't apologize.
Of course, also you have beef with Sum 41.
I could if they came on the show, sure.
Well, you seem to have beef with music artists online, so I wouldn't put it past you to have a beef with Sum 41. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Canadian Talkin Shop podcast. I am your host, Steve Francis, and joining me today, as he does on every day, we don't quite know what your name is. I'm going to just throw out a name, and you tell me if that's the name or not. But joining us today is Mr. Brad.
Just a sec. Just a sec. Hey, Brad. Brad, are you here? Brad.
Okay, he's going to get Brad. Oh, Lord.
Brad. Yeah, you need to come here.
He's doing a skit.
Okay.
Oh, dear. Oh, boy. So it looks like so this is Brad. So I was just dealing with Mike, but this is Brad. I've been officially joined by Brad now. The gentleman that was there before was Mike.
You Stumert?
Oh, God.
Net is Stumert.
Oh, God, I immediately regret doing this today. Hey, Brad, can you go and get Mike again for
You
me?
on video 6?
No, I need you to go get Mike before I find a way to get through the camera and strangle you.
Violence not good solution.
What's the only solution? Fuck out of here, Brad. Time to get Mike back in here. Oh, Lord. Ah,
Yeah, go back in your cage, Brad.
yes,
Back in your
please.
cage!
Back in the cage. All right, so it looks like we're joined by my co-host, Mr. Mike Barakoff. What's going on?
Oh, you got rid of that nuisance that came in. Yeah,
Yeah,
you guys wanted him, so you got him.
well, never again. So Mr. Bradley's in a cage, never to be released again.
Sometimes he screams, but I told him not to.
You know, if Brad was a meme, he would have showed up on our meme review on the bonus content last week. That's how awful Brad is.
Oh,
If you don't know what I'm referring to, check out the bonus content from last week. Let us know what you like about if you like that meme review or not. Oh no, sorry, I have some Loki movement here. Seeing what he's doing. Loki, hey, lay down. Yeah, he's in desperate need of being neutered. Let's just say that. So he's been very, very needy this week. That's the Loki update. Been very, very extremely needy, more so than usual. But other than that, things are good. What's going on in your neck of the woods beside that awful Brad monstrosity you brought out there?
he needs a lady friend. Some pet owners get stuffed animals, so that their dogs can have a little bit of alone time with them. He just needs a friend. He doesn't need his nuts chopped off. See this? See, he can hear me. He can hear me.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you there because my Cooper had his nuts the whole time, and every so often he would be a flippin' handful. And not only would he be a pain in the ass to deal with, crying and whatnot with his urges, but it's not good for their health. So, and Loki's already got some health stuff going on. We don't need to add on to them.
Well, it hit me with the H bomb there, so I can't argue with that. Because when it comes to their health, that's important.
Yeah, I mean, when I first had Cooper, I'm like, he's a man. He's gonna stay a man. I'm not gonna neuter him. What the fuck? No way. He's a man for life, and that wasn't a smart play. But he still lived a full life and whatnot. But you never know. It's a roll of the dice. There's one of our listeners, Ari, who has made a really nice comment on YouTube that I wanted to share with you. This is a weird segue, but she knows all about having the stuffed animal for your pup. Her dog has a specific one by the name of Patricia, I believe, if memory serves me correctly. And this little dog grabs this stuffed animal all around the house by the neck and just prances with it, shows it off to everyone, and then does what it does. So we're gonna read her review now on YouTube. Check us out on the YouTube channel. Leave a review. If it's a positive review, we'll read it each week. And this week, Ari writes, "I look forward to more of these podcasts. You two are hilarious together. Love the vibe. Thank you very much for your support. We appreciate it. Um, Hilarious. I hope. I know I am. I can't say the same for Brad, but Mike's pretty funny. We like Mike."
I think you just need to get to know Brad more because he's a little shy. He's not used to people without facial hair.
Ah,
Hmm.
well, he is the Cheems of human beings, and that doesn't say much. And he's not funny yellow dog. Let's just say
He
that.
he doesn't get credit for my work. Brad does not get credit for my work.
No, that's right. Yeah,
That's
no,
why I don't let him out of the cage that often because then he starts taking credit for my ideas.
almost like plagiarizing. Would you say that that's what he does?
See, this is where I'm going to get into it. I'm just going to get into it quickly. Okay, when it comes to the plagiarizing thing, I'm not like downloading the photos and uploading them on my page. I'm going to someone else's page and sharing their content. That's a totally different thing. It's like Araba and Arabia. They're two different things, two different
Oh,
places.
oh, okay. Whew, that was good. That was good. That was funny as hell. You really wanted the people to know that.
But on another note,
Yes, on another note.
I meant to bring this up last time. I actually had to thank you for had to. No, I wanted to thank you for something. You got me lined up with the Cheems picture there, and I got that on Instagram. I actually got a photo of myself beside Cheems, not there in the flesh, but he's there with a photo of me, and that's really awesome. Yeah, it's cool as shit. And I'm really stoked on it. I'm actually going to get a Cheems tattoo. I got my appointment lined up on August the 12th, which I'm pretty excited about. I'll make everyone part of it here.
Yes, so it's on a Thursday. Oh, okay. So yeah, you're going for
That's
that pretty soon.
consultation. So I won't end up
Oh,
having it. I don't, and I'm kind of rusty with the whole tattoo procedure. So I don't. It's almost like buying a gun these days. It seems like you got to wait a long time. So they don't want an idiot going in there and just getting some meme and them not think about it for a few days.
that's cool because most tattoo shops, they especially because they've been put in and out and in and out of work during this whole lockdown bit, they don't give a fuck what you want. It's like, yeah, it's cool, but I always respect the shops that go, you know what, really go think about this before you do this. Like especially when people want them on their neck. I know they really like to send people home to think about that before going through with it. So
Yeah, it's been pretty cool. I actually I'm almost I'm turning really old, so I found an app on the phone that like will take you take a picture of your arm and you can put ideas on it so it looks like a tattoo.
oh, that's cool. So you want it on your arm because that was going to be
Yeah,
my
I'm gonna get
question.
it on
Where
my
did you want it
arm,
placed?
like I don't know, somewhere from the down.
Oh, so you're going to go on the inside of the arm?
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be something with like a bit of a background because I was just gonna get plain Cheems, like original Cheems, but he's thick, like he's big boy, like it just looks like a blotch of color, right? I look at that in a year and it's not gonna be great, so I picked a drawing of him. So I won't get into specifics, leave a bit of surprise, but that's what I'm going for. Not the
Cool,
German
man.
one,
Not the which one?
not the European one.
Oh, did you say German at first?
I said European.
Well, I was supposed to say, why'd you get all nervous and switched it to European? Shit, I didn't say Germany. I didn't say German. Europe.
It's like It's like Britain humor. I don't think you understand it. It's kind of like a joke, a funny haha.
Yeah, yeah, that's some good stuff. Why don't we take care of some shameless plugs here? You think that's okay? Do you think we can move on to that, or do you want to
Sounds good.
continue?
Oh,
Okay.
oh, no.
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh, no, no, no. It's all good. It reminds me of the last episode when you called out my plagiarism. We were still stuck in this kind of like before Seg 1 thing. So it just reminded me of that. And then I realized how I kind of dragged on this part of our production to make it so Seg 1 wasn't for a very long time, kind of like how I'm dragging it out now.
Well, if you're listening to this on audio, please like, follow, or subscribe. Do not listen to the tangents that Mike goes on and stop listening, please. Apple Podcast listeners, please throw us a 5-star review. Once we have access to the reviews, we'll start reading them on air. I haven't seen any pop up yet. So we're really still hoping that our friends that listen over at Apple Podcasts will leave us some reviews. Search Canadian Talkin Shop podcast on YouTube and check out the video version of the podcast there. Leave a review in the comments and we will read it on the air. We've already read off two. So we're going to have the highlights of each episode in the event that you can't hear the whole episode. We apologize about last week. We had a lot going on last week, didn't have time to create the highlights. We'll have highlights for you this week, as well as some more bonus content. So the meme reviews, like I mentioned on the last episode, will be moved to our bonus content so that you will find every Saturday at noon, along with the highlights of each episode. And again, we will have the highlights on this week. So right now we have a goal currently set to get 50 subscribers by the end of August. 50 subscribers. We're currently sitting at 31. Please help us out. Like, share the show, share the YouTube channel with your friends on social media. Encourage them to have a listen, even share some of our highlight clips to entice them to just hear a little sample. But we really, really want to get to 50 subscribers by the end of August. So we've got a whole month ahead of us to get that done. And our social media. So check us out at CTS_pod on Instagram, CTS podcast, all one word, for Snapchat, and CT Shop Pod, all one word, on Facebook. Uh, in the future, TikTok and Twitter will become more relevant, as we keep mentioning on each one. We do have accounts there, but if you don't see activity, it's just not a focus right now. And go to CanadianTalkinShop.ca, TALKIN. Very bare bones right now. More will be added soon. As mentioned in previous weeks, t-shirt pre-sale coming soon. Keep checking out the site and socials for updates. Other than that, we got some good feedback on the last episode, Mike. People seem to really dig it, especially with the vaccines. It kind of got some. I thought I was going to get more people talking, to be honest with you. With the amount of people that listened into it, I'm surprised actually that I didn't catch any sort of flack, or maybe people just don't want to. I don't know. But what about you? Did you hear any reaction?
No, I didn't get any reaction, but sometimes no reaction is good reaction. Like kind of like voting at the polls. Like maybe our listeners just agree with you. You know,
And I don't even
could be.
necessarily want them to. Like, if they
Yeah,
disagree with me, I would hope that they would say something.
yeah. It definitely would be cool to get some interaction on the page just to see kind of what people think. But people are sometimes just silent by it because it's so controversial. Controversy can make people just listen, and they might agree, they might not. We are kind of held back when it comes to speaking out about it. So, you mentioned COVID in the comments, or certain scenarios you might get your account taken down, like the way it is nowadays. So it could be a bit of that. It could be just people just don't want to interact. But I see that. You see that in the world. Like, I'm going to bring it up without using the China term, but I'll use Trump instead. Like, no one thought he was going to get in, and then all of a sudden the invisibility in the polls. Like people went and voted. Like, they didn't. They wouldn't tell their friend, like, I'm going to go vote for Trump. They're just like, I'm going to go vote, kind of like. And then when they vote, so you see the likes on there. Like, people are
Yeah,
liking it, right?
yeah.
Like,
It's a but most, like, you're right. Most times out of none, especially because that's why I find it funny. Everyone will talk shit about Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, and it's just like, it's easy to be vocal against someone, but it's not as easy to be vocal for someone when the loud minority. See, the people that are most loud are usually in the minority. The people that are generally quiet are typically in the majority because they just for whatever reason, don't want to waste their breath arguing with people, whatever have you. So that's an interesting take on that. And I wonder how people are going to take today. So we're going to do a part two on the whole vaccines bit. We're going to talk about thoughts on a potential vaccine passport. Quebec and Manitoba are wanting vaccine passports for their own residents to do things. Now, I know a lot of people are saying that if you get the vaccines, that you're less likely to contract COVID-19, and people that don't have them are more likely to contract it and whatnot. So it's getting really interesting. Piers Morgan has actually come out and he's double vaccinated, and he says he's sick as a dog from COVID-19. So it's like, I don't know what to believe. It's the whole entire process of what to believe, what not to believe. People that are vaccinated are still getting sick, but they say it's least likely. But if you go onto the CDC's website, they say they don't know how long you can stay immune for with the vaccine. So you could receive the double dose, and then you 6 months down the line from now might have to go and get a booster, or might have to go get another double round of vaccines, because it we're finding that it only lasts for so long, etc. And this is why I haven't done any of this shit yet, because it's like, I just don't want to be the experimental, and we really don't know where to go in this Delta variant. No one's covered for the Delta variant when it comes to these vaccines. So I think the idea of Quebec and Manitoba wanting vaccine passports for their own residents, it's it's a lot to take in. So I'm going to let you take the wheel and give some insight on what you think about the whole thing.
I think if it passes, it opens the door to a lot of bad things. Like, okay, so we let that go in, and then there's more shots and more vaccinations for different things. Like, you know, you got your flu shot, you got all the shots that children take along the course of their lives. So are we gonna get passports for all of those? It's just a big restriction. How are you proving that these people went and got their vaccination? Like I'm a super organized guy. I live my life really organized, but I lose things once in a while, right? Like, and all I've seen is these fucking paper cards. Like, you go get your shot and you got a paper card. I don't know, do they have your name in a system that I'm not too aware about? But it just opens the door, like the control. Like, this will be okay. So then further things down the line for more and more control are okay. Are we gonna get a tattoo when we get this thing to prove that we have it? Like, those are they gonna restrict services? Well, it depends. They're already planning to if you're not vaccinated. If it did pass, like, you're not going to be able to travel or go to stores in that area that you're mentioning.
So the idea behind it is that you would have to show for non-essential. So basically, if you wanted to go to, let's just say, a hockey game, or you wanted to go here, or you wanted to go there, you would have to show proof that you're vaccinated in order to enjoy those type of luxuries, rather than having a lockdown and whatnot. They basically want to lock down just the non-vaccinated, because we're the problem now.
How do the corporations feel about that? Because money's the bottom line. I don't care what anybody says, but
Well, a lot of corporations in Toronto, as an example, not a lot, but a few of them decided to start a website and try to gain traction on having businesses join up, so that you could go onto this website like a Google for places that are only for the vaccinated. So it's total segregation 101. And there was so much backlash from it that the website got taken down and the businesses backed away immediately, because the response was, good, okay, now we know where not to shop. Because there's a ton of people that are even vaccinated that go, no, that's not right, I'm sorry, but that's not right. And there's a lot of people that agree and think it is right, and there's a bunch of people that don't agree and think it's wrong. So it's I think the whole idea of a passport system, especially, like, where does it stop? Where does it stop? It starts with your local, you need to prove this in order to go enjoy a luxury. And then what? Like you said, like, travel and all that stuff is kind of murky right now. It's They're reopening the borders. It's getting really weird. It's getting really weird in the NFL. The NFL is like kicking up the vaccination war machine to the fullest, to the point where they're making it mandatory for all front office staff, coaching staff, etc., to be vaccinated. So there's a bunch of not a bunch, there's been two coaches, one from the Minnesota Vikings and one from the New England Patriots, that have stepped down from their jobs because of their refusal to do so. DeAndre Hopkins, who's one of the most popular wide receivers in the league. He's a top 5 wide receiver all day long, top 3, top 2. You can make so many arguments for this guy. And he had a since deleted tweet that he put out where he said, "Man, do I really have to retire over this?" I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially what he was coming to, is that, do I really have to retire from not, there's a bunch of players that are coming out and saying that they don't want to, but if you don't, like, I encourage anyone right now to look up the differences between what a non-vax player has to go through in the league versus a vaccinated player in the league. It's crazy. It's just crazy to me because a lot of these athletes want to know what they're putting into their body, and not every athlete's a junkie. Not every athlete is pumping them up with steroids. So I don't want to hear none of that. Well, they'll take steroids, but they won't take a vaccine. There's a lot of clean athletes out there that put very clean substances in their bodies, and they're concerned and they want to see over time what takes place with this vaccine before they go ahead and do it. And there, to say that there hasn't been health complications from people from taking this vaccine would be criminal to put out there, because there's a ton of people that are going through violent reactions, and we don't necessarily know if it's just because they have allergies to it. But I don't know my body well enough to know if I'm allergic to any of the contents that are in these vaccines. Another reason why I won't do it. But this whole passports and people losing their jobs and all this stuff, it feels like the beginning of a big time war between the non-vaccinated and the vaccinated. And I'm not an anti-vaxxer. An anti-vaxxer to me is just like totally against like all vaccines. I'm not necessarily for them and I'm not necessarily against them. You just have to make an argument to me that makes it worth it. And for all the people that say, well, you got all these things in school, I was 6 years old. I didn't have a fucking choice. I had to do it. I'm a 34-year-old grown man now. I have the choice if I want to do something or put something in my body or not, when I didn't have that choice then. So I think these are just fear tactics that are being used to push people into all of these things. I think if we hold out long enough, by the time you see summer of 2022 come around, because let me tell you something, the numbers in the summertime last year were really fucking low too, almost non-existent. Everywhere in the world has that during their summer times. But once winter comes back, I'm really interested to see what the numbers look like this year. Really curious, because if they start spiking and we need to go on lockdowns again, you can blame the non-vaccinated all you want, but what it's going to show you is it's going to show you that there's going to be so many variants of this fucking thing that your little friggin' vaccine that you're so proud of that you're forcing everyone to get doesn't work.
They even got a fucking pill coming out now.
I haven't heard anything about a pill.
Yeah, there's a pill coming out. It's either from Israel or India, one of the two. But I know for sure. Like, you look it up, they have a pill for that they're designing or coming out with. Like, it's just like hopping on the fucking bandwagon here. And when you look at the proof of what happened, the people in the lab that took an animal virus that was in animals and they converted it to be used on humans. This was a virus that was with animals. You know what I mean? Like, manipulated for a reason. And that Paul Rand guy in the States, he's the one I'm going against Fauci right now, like in the Senate. And if you watch that, if you look up Paul Rand, and Dr. Fauci or whatever, I don't even know his last name, but you'll see where he's coming out and he comes up with all the solid points. He comes out with the proof too. He was actually one of the guys that Trump made fun of for his like curly hair back in the day.
Who, Fauci?
No, Paul Rand.
Oh, okay. Because I've heard nothing, but I don't pay attention too closely into the political side of things. But I think Fauci is his last name.
Yeah, Dr. Fauci, Fauchi.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I have this guy right. Yeah. Oh, Rand Paul. So.
Oh, okay. So you have
Paul Rand is a musician, so let's not get it mixed up. So it's this guy right here.
Oh, look at that.
Okay, so he ran against Trump and just got fucking wiped out, like, before the prelims kind of thing or whatever.
Oh, when they were running for the Republican seat?
Yeah, like where the memes where he's making all the like the nodding face and all that shit, like
yeah.
He's against Ted Bush and whatnot. But yeah, he's been coming at at this Fauci guy really hard, and it's nice to see because there's accountability, but because he's Republican, because he's on the right, it's not getting a lot of traction or fucking media play. But yeah, he's cool shit. If anyone looks him up.
Yeah, so all in all, it's a really weird situation. Again, like I don't want to spend too much time on all these episodes talking about COVID and all stuff. People are sick to death about it. It's just these are some thoughts that I wanted to share publicly, but just didn't know if I ever should because it's such a controversial thing. And I find it's easier for me to do it here versus doing a post. I find there's no need to do a post. There's this posts don't do nothing. Posts don't gain no traction. My shit's private, like except for my podcast socials. But anything that I would start up on my personal one, it's not going to reach nowhere. It's not going to go nowhere. So, like, what's the point? And people get real brazen behind keyboards when you're just keyboarding back and forth to one another. So, but I just there's other parts of the world that are doing this whole vaccine passport bit, and Europe wants to work on a vaccine passport for travel, and Canada wants to get on that with them, and there's this need for this system. Like right now, what you can do to answer one of your questions from earlier about how you prove things, you can load up on an app your proof of vaccination, so it's on an app. But who's to say that didn't get those documents forged? But they're working on an international data bank essentially, which is such an infringement of rights. But I mean, do we even really truly have rights? Like, I'm sure a lot of the things that we are supposed to have protected and whatnot are shared. So I don't know.
Well, it's like on that note, it's like, did they give us all these flimsy pieces of paper and bullshit so they can turn around and be like, we need something more strict into the, you know, put more money into verifying that you actually got the vaccination, kind of like upping a currency so it can't be counterfeit. You know what I mean?
Who knows? Honestly, who knows? I just don't know where you go with it. But I think I think a lot of it is drummed up to just spook people into getting it so they can achieve their numbers. They have very specific numbers that they're looking for herd immunity. But again, this whole Delta variant or whatever seems to not fall under the vaccine immunity. So I don't know.
And you guys are like locked. Correct me if I'm wrong. You guys are a bit like more locked down than we are. Like right now, I can go to the store. I don't wear a mask. I was at I'm at a few different places. So there's like Save On Foods, which I guess is kind of like an overweighty kind of thing. For you guys, I don't know if you still have overweighty there.
No, we
Um,
don't.
okay, yeah, we don't here, but we've got like Save On Foods. There's like a Sobeys, would be similar.
Yeah, or like a
But
food basics or whatever. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm,
so
I'm
like
familiar.
I
Yeah.
go in there and there's like a couple signs that are like, oh, it's recommended, and it's like you're free again. Like you can go shopping, and other people aren't wearing masks. There's the odd one, but And then I was actually looking for props. I was at Value Village, and walking in there was a whole nother story. It was like going back about a couple months, where it's like you still had to wear masks in stores. Like everyone's wearing masks looking at you like you're a fucking asshole, and I'm like, I'm allowed to go into a store without a mask. That's over now, everybody. Like fuck off. Like I get in a cab, I don't have to wear a mask anymore. The cab driver's not like, wear a mask. You go eat, there's like a little bit of distance going on, but nothing too serious. You get that like 6 feet of space going on. Food places, they're wearing masks when they're serving food, but you don't have to wear a mask going in there. Like, what do you guys got? Like, can you go to Tim Hortons, just walk in, grab a meal, and sit at a table, or do you still got like these fucking restrictions?
We still have some restrictions, but our restrictions lie. We still need to wear masks in all public spaces and the whole social distancing, 6 feet apart. Where we can't eat indoors now. We were actually the last place in all of North America where you couldn't eat indoors. We finally changed that. We're at the 50% occupancy for non-essential retail. We're closer, but it just doesn't make any sense to me with the whole mask spit because it's like you see in Texas right now, the WWE's back on tour, and they're going all through Texas, and they have sold out stadiums. I'm talking like 15 to 20,000 people. No one's wearing masks. there's not a sort of crazy COVID numbers and whatnot, and their hospitals aren't being overran and all these things that they try to tell you is going to happen, because this is why they want everybody on the vaccines, is what they say, is so that we can alleviate any sort of strain on the healthcare system, by because it's not going to send you to the hospital apparently now with it. But you see provinces like Alberta and BC, and they're going no masks, and they're not necessarily reaching the numbers that they wanted before that. And we have similar numbers over here, and we're still wearing these masks. And I don't know.
And that's what I mean. Like, it being, Canadian, we're in BC. It makes me go, it's like, well, is everyone in BC idiots? Because we're not doing what you guys are doing. And then vice versa, you're looking at it, it's like, are we doing too much? Like, BC's like fucking rolling around. You look at Texas, like the stadiums and shit. It's like, how can we not question our government? Like, what are you doing? Like, or it's either all okay or it's not okay. And they're just because, like, I'm in fucking BC, so technically what? That's a cesspool of a fucking disease? Because you guys are taking the steps, if the steps are needed, right? To take care of this. And then if I'm you, I'm going, what the fuck's going on all around me? You fucking assholes aren't doing shit. And you guys, there's the anger, like, you fuckers wear your fucking mask. Like, what the fuck? Like,
No,
you
no, I
just,
don't want
no,
anybody
no,
to
no, I'm
wear
not saying
masks.
you, but I'm saying, like, people in that area. That would be so easy to generate. I'm having to go into fucking stores, wear my mask and all this shit, and then I watch TV and I see BC, where they're just free roaming and fucking shit. You know what I mean? So, like, it would be easy for me to generate this, like, anger, like, oh, fuck these places, like, why can't they just get on fucking board and our numbers would be fucking down and blah blah blah. Just like the person I encountered, I talked about in the previous episode, like, if you're in that fucking 75%, I'd be able to go to the park today. You're not vaccinated, you're ruining my fun time. Like, yeah, like, I'm not saying you directly, but just like that area, like, I'd be sitting there if I was one of these fucking people trying to fight COVID and get these numbers down. I'd be looking at these other provinces and places like, what the fuck, you guys? Like, and the governments don't think of that as they're fucking doing this. Like, what the fuck? Get your shit together.
Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. I mean, with Texas especially, they don't even have 40% of their population vaccinated. And they have this nationwide rule now that if you've been vaccinated, you can take your mask off. So you're on the honor system. But come on. You think you, you look around at so many different events going on in the states, because they have everywhere. I mean, just in Ohio, they've had packed places for concerts. You've got the Milwaukee Bucks just won the NBA championship, so you had the whole city of Milwaukee turn out. You had all these cities in Florida, Tampa Bay, celebrating their championship win too. It's to me, it's I don't know. I really just want it to go away at this point. It's become too frustrating. This whole mask spit and whatnot. I just want to be able to go into work and not have to worry about having a mask on, or go into a store and worry about having a mask on, and then having all these, you know, everybody's got an MD license now. Everybody's a fucking doctor. Everybody's a medical expert now. So they get their belief system and what they think is right and wrong. And, we're no different, I guess, in a way, but I don't claim to know any sort of real doctor information. All I can say is just that I just don't think all these things are necessary. I just don't.
No, I totally agree. And then, like, some people could look at us and be like, oh, you guys just want it all over? If you both would just get your vaccination, it would all be over. Right? Like, the asinine thought of that. Like, for someone to possibly think that, or that just, it's all going to end whether someone gets vaccinated or not. It's still going to keep going.
There's a lot of people that think that,
Right.
though, but the thing about it is once you all get vaccinated, let's just say every single one of us got vaccinated, it was still happening, then what? It's like, what's it going to take for people to stop buying into these fucking narratives? I don't know, but that's enough vaccine talk for me. I wanted to get that out there. Do you have any final thoughts on the vaccine stuff before we move on?
Now, if someone comes banging on my door and want to force me to take a vaccination, they better have some fucking free coupons to Dairy Queen or something. Like all these people, like, taking the fucking lottery and shit. Like you win $1 million, you go get the vaccination. Like, where are the winners? Like, these people that had these offers to win different shit. Like, where are they? Right?
That's because they're Jacovid witnesses, bro.
What was that?
They're Jacovid witnesses.
Hmm.
There it is. Wow, that took a second, but okay, moving on. So this week we're actually going to be doing sponsor free. We're not going to have any of our fine sponsors on this week. Look for our sponsors to return again next week. If you are someone who owns a small business or owns a business and you would like some airspace on here, please contact either myself or Mike. Just shoot us a DM. Tell us what you're after, what you're thinking about, and let's work with you. But we want to thank Spiritual Imprints, Essence of Spice by Epicure, and Brymax for allowing us to practice our skills when it comes to promoting businesses and working with sponsors and whatnot. And we look forward to bringing you guys on for next week's episode and beyond. But so we're going to move on to what's going on in the world today. One of our segments that we introduced last week. Last week we touched on sort of what's going on in Cuba and the uprising there. And this week we have the Olympics returning to Japan. So we don't really talk sports too much, you and I. But what does the Olympics mean to you, if it means anything at all?
It's something cool. Like I try to catch it every time it's on. You know what I mean? I'm kind of neutral when it comes to the political aspect of it. Like I could get into it and talk about it, but I'm not gonna hear. But since having kids and stuff, I like catching it and watching it because like two of them are in school, so part of it I go to my youngest that's in school and I go, you're gonna end up talking about this when you get to school, you know what I mean? So you should kind of like check it out or whatever, you know. And it's decent because if you have Amazon Prime, it's on there. I don't know if it's on YouTube. I think it's a little more accessible right now. It's a little weird that the stadium was empty. I don't know if you've seen the opener. I love watching the openers and stuff. I'm trying to think. Was there the Beijing Olympics? Correct me if I'm
Yeah,
wrong.
in
Okay.
2008, I believe.
So one of the fun facts there with one of their openers, they actually had North Korean dance in there as well, kind of like snuck in there kind of deal, which I noticed right away because I watch a lot of the North Korean stuff, which I'll get into another episode. Um, but yeah, like their dances and stuff were mixed. So the opening ceremony, I love watching that if I can catch it. The connection with all the different countries and just how there's a good sportsmanship amongst all of them, 95% of the time. You know, I really enjoy seeing that, the dreams and aspirations of all the athletes and them just being there. You know what I mean? That's something cool to watch. What no matter really what the sport is for me, like it can be they were watching something to do with gymnastics and stuff yesterday that was on. They were showing different clips of everything, but it's like I don't know anything about that stuff. But you end up watching it and just kind of be zoned into it, and then all of a sudden you're like, that person was off by like this much, and then the judge calls it and it's that, and it's like all of a sudden you're like, yeah, and it's like holy shit, I'm like watching, you know, fucking pole vault or something. I never watched this fucking shit, so I like that, and I won't. I love it if Canada wins, right? But I'm kind of watching everywhere because it's just like all over the world. Like, oh, this person's from that country, you know, kind of thing. You know, go look on Google Maps, go see where the fuck this person's from if you want to, and you can learn so much through that aspect. I can't say I watch it hardcore, but I do watch it when I can, and I'll catch myself watching it for a long time if I've got the time. So
Yeah, it's on. Obviously, it's taking place right now in Tokyo, so Japan's quite far away, and we've got a 13-hour difference here from competitions and whatnot. So it's kind of hard to get in some of the competitions, and I find it's the Olympics with the huge time difference are the ones that are really difficult for me to get into. I used to be huge into the Olympics. I used to love the Olympics, especially the Winter Olympics. Or with summer, I really like the relay races and stuff like that. But I'm a little more picky with my Summer Olympics activity or events that I enjoy. But I find when it's just so far away and the time difference is just so vast, it's difficult to plan getting into. And I don't know, the older I get, the less interested in the Olympics I've become. Especially one of my favorite things is when the NHLers take place in the Winter Olympics. I don't know if they're going to the Olympics next year, but they didn't go to the previous Winter Games. So we'll see what ends up happening there. But if they do go back, that's when I'll really get into it. I don't know. It's just not something that I'm overly overly into as I once was. There's not a single event or a single Olympian that goes, you know what, I gotta watch that. Like Donovan Bailey as an example. When we were coming up as kids, we knew we had to watch the Donovan Bailey races and whatnot. And to me, there's just no Canadian Olympian star that really stands out. I know we've got you know, Andre DeGrasse or whatever, and he's okay, but I haven't heard too much buzz or hype on any of his events or whatever. I don't even know if he's even taking part in it. And yeah, so I wish all of our Canadians the best of luck, and I hope that we do well and perform well. But typically, we don't perform all that great in the Summer Olympics, and I wish I had your outlook where I could look at the other countries and have fun, but it's like, nah, I just want to see what Canada's doing. I want to see Canada win. I hate seeing the Americans pile up medals and win. I'd rather see China win over the Americans. When it comes to sports, Americans are the most bitter rivals to me. I can't stand them when it comes to sports. So, yeah, that's where I stand.
So you're a fan of China?
I'm a fan of Chinese sports in the Olympics over American sports in the
You
Olympics.
better call it by what they want it to be called. This Olympics, they're calling themselves the People's Republic of China, not just China.
You and your fucking China bit. You know, you and my buddy Jimmy need to, like, I need to get him on this show. He needs to be a guest. You two will have a fucking hoot together because you guys can go on about China and go on about this and that and Trump and all that. And while I'm mostly with you guys on a lot of this stuff, he's deep into it like you. So there'd be a more beneficial conversation between you two.
It's not even deep. It's just aware. It's just aware. It's just aware.
You know, he'll agree to that. He will say that. He'll say it's an awareness that you both possess that I do not. So
I got some big brain stuff.
see, see, I told you got some big brain stuff. It's just the thing about getting too deep or educated or aware on those things. It's just too much for my mind. I just can't take it. It's like, you know what? There's a reason why I don't know these things, and I'm okay with that. Ignorance is bliss on certain things for me. There we go.
You're in too deep. You're
Yeah.
trying to keep all the blood in your hand instead of going over.
Blood in my hand?
Is that how it
Blo-
goes?
Blood in my head.
Blood in my head. Oh, cool.
Yeah, we, if any members of Sum 41 are listening, which we assume they are not, we apologize for Mike's butcher.
I don't apologize.
Of course, also you have beef with Sum 41.
I could if they came on the show, sure.
Well, you seem to have beef with music artists online, so I wouldn't put it past you to have a beef with Sum 41. But
I have an open opinion about people online. I can't necessarily say it's a beef. I'd say it's an open opinion that people sometimes disagree with.
well, we will definitely, because I don't think we dive too much into it in the Canada Day special. We'll get into more of that another day. But how do you feel about doing a best of 7, but instead of me answering the questions, this time it's you answering the questions?
I'm actually intimidated by this, but yeah, let's go.
Oh, you should be. So I'm
Should I
gonna.
get Brad for this one?
No, you're gonna leave Brad for a very long time, but you've disabled the participant screen sharing, so you need to permit me to do that. And we'll add some Jeopardy music here.
Do you hear me now?
I do now, yeah.
Did you know it could do this, Stu? You can share and I can share.
Yeah, I'm trying, but it says host disabled the participant screen sharing.
I pressed
There
the blue
you
button. Does it work?
go. There you go.
Okay.
Okay, so let's share this here.
I didn't know I was driving the bus.
So we've got some Bible trivia here.
Oh wow! Boom.
Yes, we have
Um,
gone.
You got some Jill Biden up there and some Japanese stuff loading.
Oh yeah, those are different articles and whatnot. That's great for you to point out. Would you like to point out too that I have Netflix open?
No,
see some
just
of
the
my
Japanese one because I'm curious. You know about my curiosity about different countries and stuff.
Oh, sure. I was just reading into some stuff about the Olympics and whatnot on the Daily Mail. So I guess they're flooding the streets of Tokyo because they were told not to, as you alluded to. They're not having fans or anything like that. So they're saying, fuck this shit. We're going to the street. So I was reading about that. And then I found this funny. So you can't have any spectators, but old Jill Biden's invited. She can come out and check out the games, no problem. Japan apparently has these huge spikes and all this stuff, but let's go send over the First Lady Jill Biden. All good.
She doesn't have any viruses. So.
Right? And then, well, of course not. So she's presidential. And then Pierce Morgan tests positive, despite being double vax. So I found that funny. But we're gonna get to some Bible trivia here. So our man here, Mike, he's a man of faith, and I found this funny because I'm like, okay, give me that website that you gave me for the dog question. And the very first thing that popped up was Bible trivia, and it was only letting me click Bible trivia. I'm like, well, if there is a God, he's sending me a message to test one of his most loyal followers. So
All it really does, to be honest with you, Matt, is it's just telling me I need to read the Bible more, because I already said that I'm not really fluent in the Bible. So
perfect. Well,
shit.
we're gonna see where you're
All
at
right.
with this, my man. So how many books are there in the standard Bible? We've got 54, 72, 39, or 66.
You don't know if that's New Testament or Old Testament.
We can go a subcategory of New Testament or Old Testament, but what would be your guess for either or?
Christian server. I don't think it's 39,
Okay.
but I'm gonna say 54.
54. Ooh, that would be incorrect. 54 is
No,
not
let's go
one.
39 then.
39. Ooh, also
72.
incorrect. Incorrect
Wow.
again. So that leaves with 66, not to be confused with 666, number of the beast. There are 66.
Oh, it was both combined, man. Like, I'll read this. It says there are 66 books in the Standard Bible, 39 in the Old Testament, and 27 in the New Testament. That's where, yeah, never mind.
Would you have gotten it even if you knew that?
Well, I picked 39, right? So, like,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I'm not saying I would have got it, but that's why I was thinking of such a lower number. It was because I know there isn't 72. Like,
Well, we didn't keep score
in one.
last time, so we're gonna keep score this time, and so
Okay.
there's no points on that one. That is a big oh. So let's see if we can get you one back on the board. 0-1 at the score. So at the time of the census, which was conducted by Moses in the first chapter of Numbers, which of the 12 tribes of Israel was the largest? You have Reuben, Gad, Gad, Judah, or Asher?
I'm gonna guess Judah.
Judah. Yes, Judah is correct. Go ahead and read that one.
At the time of the census, which was conducted by Moses in the first chapter of Numbers, Judah, it might be Judea, was the largest tribe with 74,600 members.
There you go. You guys heard Ned Flanders there. Judea. Thank you, Mr. Flanders, sir. So we've got one for Netty Boy. It's we got to get 3 more in order to win this segment here. So which of the following animals were the Israelites forbidden to eat by
Israelites.
Israelites? Oh, there we go. See, I found my Arabia. Why does it have to be that section of the world that we fuck up? That doesn't make us look good at all. So Israelites forbidden to eat by the Old Testament. So goat, antelope, rabbit, or sheep.
The reason I'm gonna guess this one is because I think it's because of what's produced from it. Because goat, you get goat's milk, you can make more things. So I'm gonna choose goat because of the multiple purposes.
Incorrect.
Okay, so then it's got to be a sheep.
I think it's rabbit, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, rabbit, because it would be a rodent. Yeah, detestable thing, rodent.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so since
I'll
Mike's
read
not
that out.
gonna
Sorry.
read these-
I'll read that out. Do not eat any detestable thing. These are the animals you may eat: the ox, the sheep, the goat, the deer, the gazelle, the roe deer, the wild goat, the ibex, the antelope, and the mountain sheep. You may eat any animal that has a split hoof divided in two that chews the cud. However, of those that chew the cud, or that have a split hoof completely divided, you may not eat the camel, the rabbit, or the coney. Although they chew the cud, they do not have a split hoof. They are ceremoniously unclean for you. The pig is also unclean, although it has a split hoof, it does not chew the cud. You are not to eat their meat or touch their carcasses.
So that's a Bible verse, I'm assuming, because that was a long, drawn out answer. Otherwise,
Deuteronomy 14:3-8.
I
I don't
mean,
even think I pronounced that right, to be honest.
who doesn't know about Deuteronomy 14:3-8? I mean, that's I thought that was standard knowledge. But since
The
you've got
food thing kind of is. It's more simplified. Like I've heard about that before, where it's the food. There's also shellfish. That's another one that's in that section. Is you shouldn't be eating shellfish because it's kind of like the rodent of the sea. Like so that's also in there too. There's a lot of different ones that make sense with the time, but now it just doesn't work. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things in the Bible that are like that, but we'll get into that in another episode.
absolutely, I'd be interested to hear more. But as the scorecard reads, it looks like you're up two. You need two more to close this thing out. So
I thought I
when
got
we're
the other one wrong. I thought I only got one right.
no, we gave you that one because with my assist with
Oh, okay.
Rabbit. If you get it within the three, then that's cool. But
Oh, okay.
if you strike out each of them, then no, we won't give you that one. And the last one was charity, but still, this is
Okay.
we're trying to be helpful here for you.
Christian server.
Yeah, not me. Uh when were Israelites required to free their servants? Never. In the 7th year of service, in the 12th year of service, when the servant produced offspring.
I'm gonna go all the way. I'm gonna say 12th year of service.
12th year of service,
And
incorrect.
7th.
7th is correct.
The Israelites were required to free their servants in the 7th year of service, and
Do you know why that is?
if the servant produced offspring, their offspring were just used as slaves as well.
So, do you know why it was a 7-year thing?
I'm not too sure why the number was put there, but I don't know. Back then, you could think maybe 7 years is all they got, right?
True.
Like for the good labor, and then it's just like I don't know. Yeah.
You gave it a good 7 years, so we're gonna retire you from here on out.
And
Thank you very much for your service.
who's enforcing that too, right? Like, but yeah, that's
Yeah,
all
who's keeping track? It's like, you know what, pal, you're on year 7. It just turned 15 minutes ago. We thank you for your service. Have a lovely day. Yeah, I don't think that's how it worked at all. But you're 3-1 in the scorecard here. So if you answer this one right, you seal the deal here in 5. So who climbed a sycamore tree? Yeah. So who climbed a sycamore tree in order to see Jesus as he entered Jericho? Oh my. These are some names. Zerubbabel. God damn. No pun intended. Zacchaeus. Nebuchadnezzar. Nicodemus. I think that one's the only one that I've gotten right there. So which one would you like to choose there?
Zacchaeus.
Oh, and he seals the deal and wins it. Oh my, that's a huge passage here from Luke 19:1-10, but give her.
Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through. A man was there by the name of Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was wealthy. He wanted to see who Jesus was, but being a short man like myself, he could not because of the crowd. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore fig tree to see him. Since Jesus was coming that way, when Jesus reached the spot, he looked up and said to him, Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house.
Yeah, that's just great and lovely. Luke, he had such a lovely passage there. I'd like to have you read the whole thing, but that was just too much fun for us all to handle. I'm just going to cut it off right there.
Was it the short thing or something?
Yeah, that was it. Sure. It was all the Jesus this and Jesus that. I don't apologize to our religious listeners, but after a couple yips about that, I'm done. I'm good. So there you have it, folks. That was the best of 7 for Mike on the Bible version, and
My
he
boy
won.
Zacchaeus.
There's your boy Zacchaeus. Yep. We're gonna move into something new that we're gonna add to the show here. It's like a would you rather type of segment. So I'm gonna ask Mike some. So I'm gonna give him choices actually between two things, and he's gonna tell me what he would rather and why. And if he wants, he can get me to answer the same one. But we're gonna start with a couple toss-ups, a couple real easy ones here. But would you rather Coke or Pepsi?
Define Coke.
A cola.
Or is this cold Coca-Cola and cold Pepsi, or are these like what's temperatures? Or am I getting too specific and I just need to stick to basics?
Well, I mean, for the sake of conversation, let's just say they were cold for the first one. Which one would you prefer?
Man, I don't even really drink soda, but if I was to all of a sudden go there, I'd say Pepsi.
So you don't drink soda, and you wanted to know if it was the choice between cold or warm.
Makes a big difference.
I see. If it was
Because it was
warm, what
warm,
would it
it
be?
would be Coca-Cola.
Why is that?
It does, it just taste better.
Interesting. Do you prefer, if you were to have a pop, let's say of any kind, would you prefer it warm over cold?
It heated really well. If you tried a heated cola,
I've
and
never had
you
heated
can
cola.
dip a biscuit in it, like a ginger snap.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
No, I can't say that I've ever done that. Maybe we'll
A
save
warm
that.
Pepsi is not the same.
Yeah, see, the thing is I would like to do, because in the future, especially when I move and I have access to recording in the kitchen, I would like to do food segments and stuff like that, and try different foods and like get the reactions and whatnot. But I can't do anything with pop. Pop just dummies my stomach. So, but okay, so we have looks like we're going Coke there. And let's go to the next one. So, would you prefer for your breakfast bacon or sausage?
Sausage, because bacon is an all-day thing.
So you equate sausage to just breakfast, or just breakfast sausages? Because there's so many different sausages.
Oh, okay. So you're just going all around with the sausage.
No, not really. But like you get your standard breakfast sausage or whatever. But you wouldn't have, say, the breakfast sausage. You wouldn't have breakfast sausage all day. That's just a breakfast thing
No,
for you.
no, no. Yeah, that's a morning thing.
Do you like to keep your breakfast strictly in the morning, like eggs, all that stuff? Like you don't have none of that for dinner?
Most of the time, yeah. I'm not one of those people that really likes like a breakfast for dinner thing. I will once in a while, but it's not. I don't know why. It's like a mind fuck. I'm not usually into.
So what's your breakfast of choice then? Like what are you into for breakfast?
Oh shit. Snap. Um,
You're into Snap. Never heard of
no,
that.
it's just
Rice
surprises me.
Krispies?
You care about my food. Um, Today my breakfast consisted of two McDonald's coffees, two apple pies.
If you had two cigarettes, it would have been a McDonald's hooker's breakfast.
Oh, nice. Um, but yeah, like I go for like a fruit bowl if my stomach can handle it, kind of thing. I ate a lot of candy, so my stomach's kind of like a little off.
As a
Uh,
man that suffers from Crohn's, what you show me that consists of your diet, it's a miracle. A miracle that you walk around, never not keeled over, holding and clenching your stomach all the day.
it's weird. Like I said, I'm in a bit of a remission, so I kind of feel like a free man, but I'm still dealing with side effects. Um, yeah, I had a lot of candy that I probably shouldn't have eaten the other night, but it was good. It was very good. And then I got this. That's just bad news.
Oh, seasoned salt? I love seasoning
Yeah,
salt, man. Oh,
pierogies with sour cream and a ridiculous amount of seasoning salt. Whew, game changer.
that is good stuff. You know where I got fucked up from seasoning salt, and where I really discovered it was A&W, because they put it
Oh,
on their fries and their burgers
onion rings, yeah.
and their onion rings. That shit changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's do fast food then. McDonald's or Wendy's?
McDonald's, 20 nuggets.
The 20 nuggets. Okay, I love the 20. When do you guys get over there? I imagine you do. The family box meal where it's like 20 nuggets, two fries, or sometimes four small fries, or whatever, whatever. Have you ever seen those?
If I did, it was years and years back. As of anything over the last like 4 or 5 years, no.
Oh, okay, because they usually bring it out during Christmas, and it's wonderful. I'll crush the whole box to my face.
Nice.
Sometimes it's like, sometimes it's 20 nuggets, two fries, two drinks, and two cheeseburgers and two cookies, and it just, yeah, clear out the whole thing. But me personally, Wendy's over McDonald's any day of the week. You give me a Baconator or a Junior Bacon Cheeseburger, and their fries are so underrated. I love McDonald's fries. Don't get me wrong, but there's like a McDonald's feels like something like dirty to eat, where to me Wendy's feels like a cleaner meal, even though it's not, but it is. You know what I mean?
I've worked at both.
Me too.
Oh, nice, nice. So
Yeah.
you've do you eat the chili ever since you worked there?
You have worked at Wendy's, because anyone that's worked at Wendy's, they always say, "Do you enjoy the chili?" And the answer is an emphatic N-O. Not a fucking chance. And do you want to explain why, or do you want me to
Sure,
explain
sure.
why?
I'll explain. Like I used to like the chili. I loved the chili. I was someone who got it all the fucking time. Yeah, like I even will look at their menu and I'm like, oh, fucking chili. Oh, whoa, no, like, But I'll look and I'll be like, yeah. And then it's like, no, there's reason. Other places that make chili, I'm like, fuck this, I can't because I don't know what's going on. So with their meat that's been sitting on the that's kind of like the warming tray or the back of the fucking grill, the shit that they're not using, it's too old. So instead of throwing it out, they fucking, from what I recall, it was either getting put in this bin till it cooled down, and eventually it ends up in this bag where I work. Oh, no, 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 wait, no, 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 even fucking worse. I remember it was meat in like a fucking strainer, and you're like fucking cold water over this meat to fucking cool it down, and then when it gets fucking cold enough, you like put it in this bag and fucking then they freeze it and it gets broken up and put into the chili. And it was just like, I was like, this is what you guys do? And they're like, yeah, 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 it's perfectly fine, it just cools it down really fast. And it's like, you're washing cooked meat.
See, I'll I'll put even more detail on it. So on the grill on Wendy's, to give you an idea, is their whole thing is fresh burgers. So they're always giving you a fresh burger. Whereas McDonald's, they just steam a bunch of burgers, throw it in a tray, whatever have you. With Wendy's, they do things in lines. So they'll put like, fresh raw ones down, and then they work them down to grill to the end of the grill. The idea is by the time it gets to the end of the grill, you have perfectly cooked burgers that are ready to serve. Your middles are almost coming up, and then you restock your ends so that you can continue this flow. Well, sometimes those burgers on the ends that are cooked don't sell right away. So, and if you put too many burgers on there, say you're at the end of a rush, so the rush is over now and you still have all these burgers because you didn't know when the rush was going to end, these burgers start to burn. So then you take those burgers, you put them in the tray, and just like Mike said, you take them to the back and you wash them down. But the sake for washing them down comes in to remove the burnt from the burgers, to get all that burnt shit off of all the burgers, and then it becomes like a clean grayish looking burger. So that's what we did. We used all the burnt ones because we didn't have a tray, and then we would clean them all off, like Mike said, put them in a bag, mark them down, freeze them, bring them out 3 days later, and then throw them in a sink to thaw them, and then again rinse them down again until they're thawed, and then they're thrown into the chili. I sure as hell hope we don't get sued by Wendy's for releasing their little trade secret here.
See, I wasn't told that's why we were rinsing it off was for the burnt. I was told we were rinsing it off so that it would cool down so that we could get it stocked faster.
Yeah, see, that's, I understand it needs to cool down before it goes into freezing, essentially, if you're worried about putting in something that's hot into a cold area and it possibly spoiling something near it. But come on, these are huge industrial freezers. The 100% reason was to get the burnt off the burgers. That's all, because it just doesn't look good. If you're eating chili and all your burger meat looks burnt or it tastes burnt, that's not going to go over well. So yeah, that's good shit.
Yeah, yeah. Wendy's was a trip for me, man. Same
So
with
when did you
McDonald's.
work at Wendy's? Did you work at Wendy's first or McDonald's
I
first?
worked at McDonald's first, so McDonald's was one of my first jobs. I was 16 when I worked at McDonald's,
See,
16 or 17.
I was
So
16. I started at Wendy's, and then I did the reverse. I worked for Wendy's for about 6 months, and then I got fired with my whole entire shift one night because we all just went bonkers and just started fucking around, and we were chasing each other with Windex and having Windex wars, and not necessarily proud of none of this stuff, but all the Windex was going everywhere, onto the food, onto the greasers, onto the fucking the grill, you name it, everywhere. We were we would hop over the counter with ketchup packages and go next door to Harvey's and start hucking ketchup packages at the Harvey's drive-through and shit. People were taking spoons and forks because back then spoons and forks were just put into a bowl, a little fish bowl, and you would take them out. They weren't individually sealed or nothing. And the reason why now is because of the people that were on shift that day, and they were just licking them all and throwing them back into the bowls and shit like that. Like, you think you're scared of COVID? If you ate at Wendy's when I worked at Wendy's at 16, you can survive anything. Because that's not even it. There was all sorts of like inappropriate touching that were going on between staff members, and it was all on camera, the whole thing. People were stealing burgers. Like, everyone went nuts that day, and every single one of us got fired from it. And then I went and worked at McDonald's for like 2-3 weeks after that and decided I'm never doing fast food ever again.
Yeah, man, I used to freeze towels. That was one of my things. I go get a towel soaking wet and I'd throw it in the freezer, and then get someone that wanted to fuck around, have sword fights and shit, or go and scare someone and just slam it up against the counter, make a big banging noise. But yeah, you just have this frozen fucking towel. It was the funniest fucking shit. And then like you'd have the new person on shift and they'd be like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Just leave them alone. Don't fucking touch them. Why is there fucking towels in the meat cooler? You'll find out in a half hour. Just shut the fuck up." Like,
Yeah, as
yeah,
you're
those were
getting
some of my
beaten
fun.
with, it sounds more like prison. Here's my prison toy.
Oh, I got a good towel whip, man. Like, whoosh. Yeah, I break skin with the ones I do. It's pretty crazy. Well practiced. Well practiced. To the point where I won't do it on someone because it probably hurt them really fucking bad.
Well, when you're talking about the fact of breaking skin, I'd say so. So, but sticking with breakfast stuff, or sorry, not sticking with, going back to breakfast stuff, the big one, pancakes or waffles?
Waffles.
Why waffles?
There's just more of a crisp to them.
Mm.
Like I'd say, there's more of a crisp to them, and just I don't know why, but I feel like there's more effort in them. But yeah, I prefer waffle. Waffle's more diverse too. Like, you know, your waffle could have anything really in it. The pancake is just kind of like a fucking mess that you're trying to keep together.
So we clearly know that Mike doesn't like cooking pancakes. But that's one's a tough one for me. I like both of them equally, so I'm gonna pass on answering this one. But this one's gonna be a good one. Who would you rather, Donald Trump or Joe Biden?
Oh, okay, what do you mean? Like B?
Who would you rather? Like, obviously, at this point, these are both presidents. Who would you rather be your president?
Oh, okay.
I'll just be very specific with you. How about that?
Well, that works because I didn't know like where this was going. If this was like, who you gonna make out with, or like who you want to shake their hand, or who you want to go on a car ride with. It's just like, would you rather? So, because if you look up these questions online, the would you rather's can sometimes get really specific, or they can get turned around and used against people.
You spend far too much time online. Far too much time online. You are banned from online. And see, next week I need a new co-host, people.
I got Brad, so Brad, can you do
No,
my
yeah,
online
yeah.
work?
Well, you're gonna have nothing but Brad eventually if you don't get off the damn internet. So, what is it gonna be? Who do you want as your president? Who are you voting for? Donald Trump or Joe Biden?
Fuck, that's a hard one because like on one angle, Joe Biden's just stirring up so much shit from like a troll perspective. There's that. So like, and then a reality perspective would be Trump. So it's actually a really hard one for me because it's like if everyone could know who I voted for, I'd maybe just say Biden just to get a stir. But I guess either way you're doing wrong nowadays. So yeah, I vote for Trump.
Yeah, I was about to say there's no right or wrong on that one. There's going to be a subsection of one audience that's going to criticize you for it. So I mean, I'd go Trump too. I just the the press conferences alone where there's no objective and no agenda is worth the price of admission. And whether people want to admit it or not, he did really great things for the country. His problem was Twitter. His problem is he couldn't keep his mouth shut. His problem is he says really stupid things and really inappropriate things, and I will not dispute or deny that. But if you ask the people of America how they're feeling today versus how they felt this time last year, and it depends on what you're asking them in regards to, but I mean, look at gas prices and look at unemployment and all look at all these things that are now suffering under the Biden administration. So not going to get too political about it, but yeah, my vote would be for Trump too. So this one is a big would you rather. So if there was only one meme that you could have for the rest of your life, a template of a doggo, and it's either Cheems or Dodge, which one are you picking?
This my boy.
Cheems. So Cheems is your pick. So why wouldn't you pick Dodge? Why wouldn't, like, if you isn't Dodge the more popular meme?
It depends who you're talking to, I guess. See, like Dodge is more kind of like the hip thing, kind of like pop music, whereas like Cheems is more like the underground cult classic. So like kind of like how there was like Backstreet Boys and like back in the day, like that's kind of like the Dodge thing. Whereas Cheems is just kind of like he's like all around. He's just like super cool and he like does a lot of super cool things. Like every band, not just one band. He's like in his own category. So yeah, Cheems all the way.
Cheems all the way. Well, I got one last one for you. If you could have dinner with one of these individuals, who would you rather? Jeff Bezos, the dick flying out to space dude, or Vladimir Putin?
Oh, Putin all the way. But I'm watching my p's and q's around that guy because like you know like I don't want to get killed at the end of it.
I don't know. Enlighten me. I have no idea what you're talking about.
You don't want to like piss the guy off.
Why would you be pissing him off?
You might just disappear. Like I don't know. Like every country's kind of got their own codes of etiquette, right? Like I don't know. Like how in like Singapore, it's like you can't spit on the sidewalk. I don't want to do something like that and get in a lot of fucking trouble. So watch my p's and q's.
What would you ask him if you had dinner with him? First of all, what would you want for dinner when you're dining with the president of Russia, and what would be some of the things that you would ask him?
Oh, okay. So it's one. Yeah, I just thought it was just kind of like sitting at a table, at a table kind of thing. I get to like ask him questions, and I get to choose what the food is. I'm not picking Putin. I will pick the Bezos.
Okay, so why are you changing your answer then?
Because I'm not about to pick a fucking cook. I'm not about to pick food that he doesn't like. I'm not about to pick any of that shit. I'm not about to have any of that held on me. Fucking appointments, time restrictions of meeting, and all that shit. No, fuck that. Fuck that.
So needless to say, you're pretty scared of the fella.
I have a lot of respect for him, and I feel like I don't want to be caught slipping. So like, yeah, if I had like a team that set it all up and they chose the food and they chose the time, and I could be like, it's those motherfuckers. I'm just here. They're the ones. They're the ones that can go get the KGB treatment and all that, and I could just kind of be like, hey, it's not my fault. It's their fault. But then it could be my fault for hiring them. So Bezos, he's just fucking Bezos, right? Like I wouldn't disrespect him or anything, but he's not any Putin.
Well, what would you talk to Bezos about then?
His cool hat.
His cool hat.
His cowboy hat. Where'd he get it? Why the fuck are you sporting that shit this whole ride? Like fuck weightlessness, fuck all that. Why are you doing the hat? What's with the hat? Can I have it?
Would you get it autographed if he gave it to you?
Nah, because I think that would boost his ego. I just want the hat.
Fair enough. Well, there you have it.
I just want the hat.
So that was an interesting segment of Would You Rather's. I'm definitely convinced now that you're scared of Vladimir Putin, and that's just not healthy for you, man.
Okay, well, what would you do with Putin? Who are you gonna have dinner with?
Oh man, Putin all day. It's
Yeah.
not even close. I mean, the guy rides shirtless on horses and takes pictures, and the whole country's adoring him and loving him. That's so they're so scared of him that they won't even talk shit about a fucking shirtless guy riding a horse. And I'd ask him. I would talk a lot of hockey with him. He's a big time hockey fan, so I would ask him about his opinions on the '72 Summit Series between Canada and the USSR. I would ask him how he feels about the current crop of Russian talents that are coming out. How he's got guys like Nikita Kucherov and stuff that are dominating the NHL. Definitely get some tips and tricks on how to become a tyrant in today's world and be left alone and be almost looked at like a democratic individual. So I think that's pretty unique. I mean, They used to have terms in Russia, and then he came along after his first stint, comes along, does a second stint, and what you know it, you can be president as long as you want now. So you know, there's a lot that I would like to, because I just find it fascinating. I find dictators and whatnot very fascinating. I would never be one myself, but I would just like to know what enables you to react to that part that everybody has in their brain, and that's to do bad and evil shit. It's just like what allows you to do it? Is there a filter? Is there a turn off? Is there's so many fascinating things. But yeah, Putin all day. That would be my answer for sure. Bezos is a fucking clown. I'd be like, so you got divorced and you wanted to go into a dick rocket and be Dr. Evil for the day. Fucking cool, bud. And you make more money while having this conversation than I see in a whole entire year. So yeah, he can go fuck himself. But I do love Amazon. Don't get me wrong. I use Amazon a lot, so I'm a bit of a hypocrite when it comes to that. But
And
still,
he thanked you. He thanked all of us.
well, good for him. You know who doesn't thank us is Weird Stepdads. And Weird Stepdads is a weird segment, and it's a weird transition, sorry, to the segment, because it's not a weird segment. But it's Mike's choice for the week. It's something that a lot of people can relate to, is really weird fucking stepdads. And I'm really interested to know where this segment's going to go. So Mike, take it away.
Yeah, so I was just kind of thinking like how everyone's got. We could even throw stepmoms in there. There's like the step
Okay.
occasions, right?
Sure.
Like I think back of, and anyone that I'll bring up, I'm not going to mention names. I'm going to mention experiences through meeting other people and
Sure.
in my life. So I call it, if you know me, you'll know where it comes from. If you don't, well, that's up for your perception, right? But yeah, just some stories about, I figured we could maybe relate on weird things that like step parents did in our lives, or stepmothers. Like, did I just separate step parents and stepmothers?
You're digging yourself a hole
But
that I
it,
can't help you get out of.
but like funny stories about those people in our lives, I guess. So one of the ones I had, I was actually gonna maybe break into the segment you mentioned about, do you like waffles or do you like pancakes?
Oh.
So this one was a fun one that I've experienced, where this one step father used to be obsessed with Sunday pancakes, and every Sunday he had to make pancakes, and it was like this big blow up in life about how like anyone wanted something else for breakfast, they shouldn't have them, and it was just pancakes, 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 pancakes every week and every Sunday. And I remember talking to one of my friends, it was like, man, you live a weird, this is weird, like this is something that you're talking about. And he's like, yeah, dude, my stepdad's insane. It's like fucking every Sunday it's like fucking pancakes, and if we're not there eating pancakes, he's like all fucking pissed off because it's supposed to be like this family moment, but he's just like fucking loses it because he can't find frying pans and all this other different shit. It's borderline traumatizing. But like, there was things like, I remember hearing about that. It reminds me of South Park, one of their first episodes where he has a stepdad, and he's like, "Go cut my fucking firewood, boy." I don't know if you remember that one or if you ever
Who's
seen it.
he? Just I
Oh,
don't.
it was a
I don't.
stepdad in
Which
South Park.
character?
I think it was Stan's stepdad.
Oh, Stan had a stepdad.
Yeah, for it was like in the first season, it was like snatch your ass in a bear trap. That episode.
No, it had to have been someone else because Randy is
Okay,
Stan's
yes.
dad.
So then maybe it was someone else, but I'm trying to think who the fuck it was.
It would have
Um,
been no, it wouldn't have been Kenny. It would have been Cartman, if any, because Cartman had just his mom.
yeah, I'm gonna look it up right now. But his thing was, go cut me some fucking firewood, and constantly, and I remember experiencing that exact same thing. It's like I'd come home from school and it was like, "Where's my firewood? Go cut me some firewood." And it's like, it's fucking summer. There's no fire. Go cut me some fucking firewood. Oh, just look at Roy the stepdad. So who was he?
Roy the stepdad. Who's he a stepdad to?
I'm just quickly going through this now.
Mom, you please ask Dad to come help me
Yeah.
build my clubhouse? Stanley, I think you should know that your father has moved out. What?
Oh, okay. They must have had a separation.
Yeah, and it was right in the like beginning, but yeah, it was just this crazy guy, and I remember relating it to it. And I had other friends that had the same things. Like my stepdad's crazy about firewood too. Like that's so fucked up. And then that was like a joke going around. It was like, "Oh, snatch his ass in a bear trap," because that's all that Cartman was saying. It's like, but yeah, and then this one about Werther's Originals. This one was one of my favorite, and this one wasn't a personal experience of mine. It was a friend's, but his stepdad would have this jar of Werther's Original, and he was an alcoholic. Um, so like there was a lot of like back and forth in his house, like arguing and shit like that. And he'd like go and he'd like take a Werther's Original out of this jar, and the guy would like dump out the jar and fucking count every single one, and then he'd be like, "I fucking knew it." Fucking knew it. Had 123 fucking Werthers here, and now there's 122. It's that fucking boy again. I think about it. I think about that shit now as I'm older, because back then I'm like, holy fuck, like that's fucking crazy. And even now I think that is fucking crazy. You know what I mean? Put your Werther's Originals in a fucking safe or something.
Acting like they're made out of gold, like you get fucking packs at the dollar store. What the fuck we talking about here?
Back then they were expensive.
Oh, that's so. My grandparents had Werther's Originals out all the time, so that's funny to me. Just counting them all up. Oh man, I don't really have any weird occurrences that immediately come to mind with stepdads. Um, Considering my relationship with my own father, I've never given any of uh, any of her lovers or boyfriends that title or that distinction. But there has been a few that have made real positive impacts on my life throughout the way. And they know who they are, but I don't really have too much weird. I think one of the ones that was kind of weird was one of the first men that I lived with after my parents separated, and he was really strange. And the reason why I'm so good with 90s alternative music is that he would look for any reason to get me grounded, so that he didn't have to share my time or anything, or share his time with his woman and whatnot, and I would be out of the picture. So I was grounded a lot, and like for like months at a time, and the only thing I was allowed was an alarm radio. So I would listen to all the alternative tunes from that era, and that's how I knew them so well. So that's he was just really really strange. Like he didn't want me around at all, and would do whatever it takes to get rid of me. But then he would try to show times where, like, he would get we were living around the border along that time, so he would get Buffalo Sabres tickets against the Habs, and he would hype me up for it and hype me up for it, and just before the game, now we're not going, and tear the tickets up. So I have a lot of shitty instances with parental lovers, or whatever the fuck you want to say. The old man didn't really date too much when I started living with him. So I didn't really have to deal with the stepmoms too much. He just, he went through a lot of medical stuff and just didn't feel really up to going down that road. So yeah, I don't have much to contribute on this one. I didn't want to disappoint you this week and say I don't really have anything on this one, but I figure I'd like to hear your stories. So
No, but in a small in a it kind of shows a point there too, because like I kind of joke about those things, but in a reality, they were traumatic events for those people. Like the person that had, you know, the stepdad flipping out over pancakes every fucking Sunday, like that affected that person, because every weekend he knew that this was going to happen and that this was going to be a big fucking problem in his life, you know, like, and he joked about it just to get through it. But that was trauma. Same with the Werther's kid. It's the exact same thing. Like it's that's a trauma, even though it's joked about. Like, and I've seen it in other relationships, because I've got kids. Those kids have friends, etc., etc. And this step parent will do what did with you, where it's they want that relationship, and the kid is almost like, I hate to say it in such a cold fashion, but that kid's like in the way to them, and it's like that gets in the way of them going out for their, you know, their dinner, their one-on-one time, etc., etc. But they knew when they were coming into it that there was a child there, like, and that's the fucking cold part that I look at. And I even know a few people personally that will look at their significant other's child, and they're just like, no, fucking nothing to do with that child. And it's weird to me. It is. It's just weird to me, because maybe it's because I had step parents in my life. I had friends with step parents, and it's just to see someone I know. They're just like, no, you know, that's that's their fucking kid, and I'm just in the house and I don't care. And it's like, you, like, for example, your story, it's like that could be easy for that person to do to someone, but they don't realize the effect that it has on that person later on. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, what turned into something that was really going to be funny turned into a real life discussion, and that's what this podcast is about. You never know what you're getting into until it's too late.
You couldn't have said that any better. That's really what I think. That's why people listen, because they want to hear what it's going to be until it's too late. That's like fuck. But yeah, no, I thought it was cool to bring up, and this is partly why I don't date women with kids. I don't want to be a stepdad, and I kind of have the train of thought. Whereas if you're taking on that partner, you're taking on the partner's kid as well at some point, and you can't do the whole life together in a home and just neglect the child and just do about you. And it's not fair to anyone involved, and especially someone that has been attached to different male figures that have come across over the years and whatnot. I just don't want to be that person that's the fleeting person, the person that's not there for long. But it'd be different if like the kids are much older and whatnot, and then it's whatever. But I'm talking like taking on a partner with kids that are like really young and stuff like that, that are still in the raising process and need to be raised still by the parent. Therefore, you would take a role in that raising, whether you wanted to or not, and you would have to be okay with that. And I'm just not okay with getting involved in none of that.
And directly or indirectly, you're going to be involved. That's what I look at
Yes.
some of these people as. It's like, even if you're just isolating yourself and not being a part of it, like, you're sitting at the dinner table, you're being a part of it. If there's an emergency in that child's life, like, you're there at the hospital with that person you love and care about so much. That person loves and cares about their child. That's not a, we don't care about our partner, we care about the child. You know what I mean? And you're right. Like you were saying in a previous episode, you're not someone that's into having children. That's like similar to like a girl meeting you and being like, I don't like dogs. Like, I'm not saying you don't like children, but like, and then you just being with that person, and for you as being someone who loves your dog, loves dogs internally, that's gonna fucking crush you.
Well,
Rightfully so.
and that's exactly it. And I don't really like kids, to be honest with you. I like my nephews and that, but I don't really care for kids all that much. They just, I don't know. I've discussed it before in previous episodes, and I don't need to dig into it again. But for any new listeners listening, yeah, I'm not a big fan of kids, and I'll be the first to admit that. And that's why it's just not fair, because I don't hate kids. There have been kids like buddies, kids, and stuff like that that I'm just like, hey, you know what? I like you. You're a cool kid. I can have conversations with you. You're fun. Um, one of my friends, Kylie, her daughter Zoe, loved that kid, love her to death and whatnot. But it's just, I don't know. It's very rare. So yeah, you made a right analogy there, because if a woman came into my life and was like, I don't like dogs, it's like, well, you've kind of come to the wrong house. So there you have it, folks. Just be honest with what you want when it comes to dating. That's what I find the one shitty thing is about dating nowadays, is that people will meet someone and they think that they can't get anyone else, so they want to try and further on with those feelings and almost force them and neglect certain things that they probably normally wouldn't. Like, for example, you know what, maybe I'll bend on the kids situation this time. It's like, no, don't do it. Don't bend your laurels for a partner, especially if you don't really know them. It's just not worth it. Giving up any part of yourself for someone else, it never works out.
No, that's totally right.
So we're gonna move on from that. We're gonna wrap things up here and start closing down the shop. We're gonna get into what we're listening to and what we're watching currently. You're on another YouTube kick for your shows. What are you watching right now?
So lately I've been listening to a bit more of Psy. The guy that did Gangnam Style. Gentleman. I don't know if you've heard that one.
I think so. I saw a little bit of the clip when you sent it to me, and I'm pretty sure I've heard that one.
Yeah, so a little bit of his songs that weren't like, Gangnam Style, and
Mainstream.
how big that fucking got up there. He's actually got some really good shit. I was listening to a lot of his stuff a few years back, like went past Gangnam Style with his stuff, and he's been around for quite a while doing his thing. The other one is called The Prophecy, and that's by Pink Guy. That's one. It's actually 12 minutes long, it's kind of got a montage of all his little music projects put into one with like a techno remix vibe into it, and it's really good the way it kind of merges the moods. Like it's got a really light kind of mood, and then it's got like a really good fucking rap verse inside of it, and then it's got his some of his classic ones where there's one stop being a c word. Like Pink Guy's got a lot of really edgy content. um
It's called
so
Stop Being a C Word, or it's called Stop Being a Cunt.
there you go. Let's actually stop being a fucking c word. Yeah, but it's actually it's pretty decent, that one alone. um but he's moving on. So after he went through Pink Guy, that's who Joji is today, right? And that's my third song, called Yeah Right, which is a really good one. It's just the video is really cool too because it's him like just kind of in a strip club getting all fucked up and whatnot, and the environment around him as it happens, kind of deal. But yeah, that was it for what I've been listening to, and shows. I'm kind of in the same place. Filthy Frank, just his YouTube and things. Like he has a few videos about weeaboos and drones, and how like people use drones in videos and they think they're big shit, and they're really fucking smart, and it's like it's really not that fancy, and it's actually pretty stupid. He's got a lot of different things that you couldn't make on YouTube today, but they're still on YouTube, which is really cool. And then there's a Canadian comedian who I've been following for a few years now. His name's Curtis Connor, and I believe he comes out of Ontario. He's somewhere along the East Coast, and he did a video on Undercover Boss and just like how ridiculous it is, and how they're just there to make money. They don't really care about the employees at the end of the day. And the one that he focused on was the one of the bosses went to Hooters to judge his staff, and this one guy who's just belligerent to all the women. The boss is like, "You got a warning," and then the other one that didn't really want to dress the Hooters way, she got fired. So the belligerent asshole just got a warning, but the girl that just wanted to be more professional and not like all fucking tits hanging out kind of thing got fired. So he points out the hypocrisy kind of in that, and Undercover Boss, the show itself. But yeah, that's what I've been into. And like you said, maybe I should get off YouTube a bit, but I've been kind of on there these last few weeks.
No, I didn't say that you should. No, I said that you've been on a YouTube kick. Or did I tell you should get off it?
Get Offline, I think it was.
Get offline. That's different. Yeah, because you go into I'm talking like web browsers, like where you can just start typing in all sorts of whatever comes to your mind, because you go onto these deep tangents of research and stuff. I admire it. I wish I could do it. I can't. I get into it a little bit, and it's like no, where it's like it seems like when you're really interested in something, you'll keep going and keep going, which is cool until it becomes obsessive. And I don't think anything you do is obsessive. I just bust your balls and boost it like it sounds obsessive, but it's not at all.
That's hilarious. Like I'm not obsessed about the dog whatsoever.
Well, I mean, but I was going to equate this earlier, and it might be, let's see, Cheems to you is what like Montreal Canadiens and stuff like that is to me. It's like you have something that it's an unexplainable love that you can't explain, but it's just you'll go to the end of the earth for it, and you'll spend your money on it, and that's just fandom. That's just fandom. At the end of the day, you're just a big fan. The little yellow dog has, meant a lot to you in your life, and obviously you have over 15,000 people that follow your Facebook page that think it's something that means a lot to them too. And I know it goes beyond just the dog, and it's just what it's been able to do for your life and where it's taken you and stuff like that. And it's understandable, man, that you want to wear the sweaters and the shirts and all that stuff. I want to wear the sweaters and the hats and all that for this, so it'd be unfair for me to, or anyone else that is a fan of something that drapes themselves in it, to criticize you just because it's someone's dog that became famous. It's no different.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
All right, well, there you have it. You agree? That's good.
Yeah,
A man of
kind
few
of
words.
speechless.
Yeah, no, but it's true. It's what it
Mm.
is. So I mean, that's why at first I thought it was like, man, this is kind of weird. Like my buddy's super into this dog, and I don't really know why, but it's not for me to criticize. So let me just investigate and see why. And then as time went on, it was never embarrassing to me, but it was like, I don't care if my friends see this and don't get it, because it's not for them to get, because I'm proud of my buddy and what he does, because I get it. Sometimes it takes a little bit to get, but I pretty much understood it right away, but I got to learn more as it went on, and it just made it more easier to support it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, that's awesome too. Like, it is totally just its own little unique thing. Like I was saying in the other episode, how there's like on YouTube, there's like a mattress community, and there's like a, you know, these different types of communities because the world is just so huge and expansive and everything. And then, yeah, like the dog community, like I'm learning every day in there, and like there's a few that I tagged you on Instagram, and some of their shit is like I look at it, I'm like, how do they come up with this?
Right? I don't understand it either. I'm just like, what were you smoking or thinking when you put all this
Mm.
together? It makes no sense to me. Or sometimes it's really fucking funny, and I can't understand how they thought of that. And other times I'm just scratching my head going, what?
Like, have you seen Reams?
Yes,
The
yes,
the
yes, yes.
rat, the rat teams, the Ratatouille. Like I can't even like that's what I mean. Like people listen to this, like what the fuck are you talking about? Like it's just like its own community. Like I said, the mattress community. I could be like, oh, have you seen those B wide springs? Like mattress community.
I know it's weird. There's a community for everything, but it's cool. That's the one thing I do like about the internet is it brings certain people together that you think you're not in, like whatever you're just really into, and you think no one else is into this shit, and then you just run into a whole community of people. Now, some communities are better than other. Like pro wrestling community or the band Tool community, not nice communities, not good communities at all. Really judgmental fucking pricks that think they know everything. It sucks. Hockey community, it's hit and miss and whatnot, but it seems with the doggo community, especially like shout out to like Mexican Cheems and all those accounts on Instagram and whatnot that are constantly supporting what we do and we're supporting what they do. But I keep looking at their stories and they're like OnlyFans girls. And it's a weird comparison, but hear me out. In terms of the support, they support one another as if they're not in competition with one another, as if they're all just in on the same thing. And it's like, let's all eat. And I love that. And that's why I hate when OnlyFans girls get shit on. And it's like, well, they'll be the first to promote everybody else. And maybe there's a financial incentive in doing so, but at least it's more like supportive than it is in other communities that are online. And I don't know what the mattress community is like. I can't speak for the mattress community, but they sound like a bunch of soft and easygoing type of folk.
Yeah, they're pretty Sealy claustropedic. So
Yeah, you get some medium and you get some firm, but most when you get the soft, that's the one. So let's get to what I'm listening to and what I'm watching. Uh, haven't listened to much this week. I find it difficult to get into wanting to listen to tunes in the car now when I have Loki with me all the time. I even because sometimes I have to have my windows down. Depending on the situation, I want to try to avoid using AC, save some gas. So I'll have my windows down, but I can't hear even. So what I do is I listen to podcasts, obviously, a lot of podcasts. So I've switched my speakers. I've turned them off on the back so that he doesn't hear them at all and just moved them all up to the front and then just crank the volume in the front. But it doesn't add to the great sound for music. So I haven't had too much alone time as of late. I've been skipping my skip shifts, no pun intended, totally pun intended. So with that being said, I have went back and listened to some Tool. Whenever in doubt, listen to some Tool. I found myself throwing on the Lateralis album from 2001 quite a few times over the course of the week. So my three songs are three of my favorites off that album. The Grudge, which is a song that opens up the album, Parabole and the Parabola, which is all Tool fan favorite, and finally Lateralis, which is the title of the album in song. One of the greatest 11 minutes of music that I've ever listened to. I'm it's tough for me, and we're gonna do this on a future episode one day, rank some all-time songs, and Lateralis for the longest time held the top spot. I don't know if it's still there. We'll have to discuss it in a future episode, but yeah, so check those out on our playlist that we'll set up this week. You'll have Mike's choices, my choices, and then check out on Instagram to see. I'm going to post some songs and see if they're Mike's or it's mine. See if you're listening. Choose correctly, because if you don't, I know you weren't listening. But what I'm watching right now, I still watching Big Brother US. It's still going on right now. For those who are watching, can't stand the one dude Frenchie. He's a total idiot. He was last on the block on Thursday to be sent home. I haven't watched yet. I hope he was sent home. It's one of those games where when the I'm starting to learn because I'm very judgmental by trait, and I'm trying not to be. When they first have the cast come in, I judge them all. I'm like, you're all stupid. Every single one of you. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. And then you start liking some of them, and then you start really not liking some of them, and then it becomes by the midway point, you know who you're going for and who you're going against. This season's really weird because in previous seasons of Big Brother, they haven't met certain, let's call it, quotas on types of individuals that are on the show. It's mostly filled up with white males and females with some representation from other races, but not too much, really on the small scale. They've been criticized a lot for it over the years because what ends up happening is the white people will come together and they'll usually gang up in the very first 2 weeks. They'll put up anyone of color on the block, and then they're usually the first people to go home. So this season, there's a lot more of an inclusive cast, but not so much just on their appearance, but also it seems to be on their belief patterns and whatnot too. It's a very, I hate to say it, but it's a very liberal cast this year, super liberal. And the dynamic is very interesting because everybody's super nice and likable. And what's happening as like, which is weird because usually not everyone's so likable at the start. Usually they're very like you just can't stand them, totally not likable at all, and then they morph into someone that's likable. These guys are all likable people, and then you're finding reasons not to like, not even finding them, they're just popping up. Like this Frenchie guy, he started off the game and he's like, he won the power the first week, so he got to nominate who he wanted to nominate, and he said to all the women in the house, I'm not going to put you up, which would have been a first because usually it's like what's perceived as the weaker people go up first. So someone of color or women are usually the people that go up. And he was just doing things really by the book, and he was playing things right, and then he made too many promises to too many people, and then it all backfired on him. And then the next week that came up, he was targeted and he acted like a little bitch, and everybody else is starting to act like little bitches. And so all these characters are now becoming super just not likable at all. So it's a really weird dynamic, but I'm enjoying it no less. It's different from previous years. I think it's cool that there's more representation. There's an all black alliance, which is the first of its kind. They're called the Cookout, which is a cool name too. It's a really interesting dynamic because so many of them are in different little side alliances and whatnot. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. But anyway, Big Brother US, really, really good so far this season. Different, and different is always good. I'm also, I just started it. I also got hooked on Gotham. Have you watched Gotham at all?
I think I've watched a little bit of it, but I didn't get too far into that one.
Okay, well, there's 5 seasons on there, and of course, Gotham being Batman, it's the origin stories. I mean, the show starts literally with Bruce Wayne's parents being killed in the alley, and it just kind of follows then Detective Gordon and follows his career as a rookie before he becomes obviously commissioner, and when he starts obviously working more closely with Bruce. But you see his relationship forming with Bruce and Alfred as Bruce is a young child, and you just see all these other little characters and their origin stories like Penguin, the Electrocutioner. I think we were just introduced to Scarecrow, which was pretty cool. So it's I'm in the first season. I'm on the 12th or 13th episode of the first season, but it's addictive watch. Really, really good watch. Definitely recommend everyone go check out Gotham if you haven't already. If you're a Batman fan, I'm kind of ashamed I waited this long, but and there's a lot of cool cameos from people in different shows. So if you're a big fan of TV, you'll notice all sorts of different people. Like there's people from Shameless, people from The Wire. I won't spoil and say who. People from Lucifer, all sorts of different shows, all different kinds of cast members. So it's really cool when you have those shows and you see that person, like, oh, you know, you're so and so on the other show and whatnot. So really, really great show. But that does it for this week. We are going to close the shop. But we just want to remind the listeners, if you enjoyed this week's episode, leave us a review on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. We want to encourage any one of you, if you want to join us as a guest, to come on the show one of these days. Shoot us over a DM. Actually, Mike, you're not aware yet, but I'm going to be bringing on some guests over the next couple of weeks. They're just going to be surprises. You're not going to know who they are. There's going to be no time to prep, And some of them are really interested in talking with you. So a little teaser for the future when it comes to guests. If you're interested, again, just reach out to us and let us know. And Mike, where can listeners follow you for your Cutlet House projects?
I'm at Cutlet House on Facebook, Cutlet House Plays, and Cutlet House on Instagram, Cutlet House on YouTube as well. Yeah, so I'm mostly on Facebook, the Facebook group. So if you look up Cutlet House Plays on Facebook, you'll find me there. But I'm doing a little bit on Instagram too, so I'm definitely reachable. So holler at me.
There you go, folks. Holler at
Holla,
him. Holla at me. It's been another fun week. We're on episode 6. We're reaching very close to episode 10. I'm really excited about episode 10. I haven't told Mike this yet, but we're probably going to do a Q&A for episode 10. And we're going to have you guys start sending us in questions to read on the air for episode 10. It's going to be strictly based off of a Q&A session from you, the listeners. So if you have questions or topics that you wish for us to discuss, hit us up. There's going to be a lot more promotion on this over the next coming episodes. But if you made it this far, then that means you're a loyal listener of the show. Please send us some questions. We want to we want to read your questions on air. And other than that, we hope you all have a great week. Until next time, this is Stu Francis, Canadian Talkin Shop, host, signing off.
This is Mike Barakoff, Cutlet House. Take care.